to the New Orleans Humanist Perspective, presented by the New Orleans Secular Humanist Association, following our few principles of humanism.
We're committed to the use of science and reason for understanding the universe and for solving human problems. We're skeptical of untested claims of knowledge, but we're open to new ideas.
We are concerned with securing justice and fairness in society and in ending intolerance and discrimination. We are committed to the total separation of religion and government.
We affirm humanism as a realistic alternative to the theologies of despair and the ideologies of violence. We reject the concept of an afterlife and believe in living a full and rewarding life here and now.
We value and respect each individual's right to judge and lead their lives according to their own position, as long as it's respectful of other people, living in a free society.
We hope you enjoy today's program and others in the weeks to follow.
Hello, welcome to the New Orleans Humanist Perspective, brought to you by the New Orleans Secular Humanist Association. My name is Beth Deitch, and I'm your host for this evening. I'm the membership coordinator for NOSHA, and I also serve on the board of directors. You can go to nosha.org to get more information about us and about humanism. So now I'd like to introduce my guest for today, Shannan Cvitanovich. Shannan Cvitanovich, Director of YMCA Educational Services.
Yes.
So welcome, Shannan.
Thank you for having me.
So tell us a little bit about what YES does.
Well, YMCA Educational Services is an adult literacy agency that gives adults the skills that they need to function in the world that we live in, whether it's reading, whether it's math, or it's computer skills. I mean, to give you an example, we had a student who walked into our classroom. We're located downtown at the main branch of the public library and in the east. She walks into our downtown location still wearing her housekeeper's uniform. And she walked in and told us that she was an excellent worker. Her boss really liked her and wanted to promote her to make her a supervisor of other housekeepers. But she was terrified because though she could read and write, she was worried about punctuation. She was worried about sending emails. She was not very comfortable with a computer. And she asked us if there was anything we could do to help. And of course, we said yes. That is our job, is when adults need basic literacy skills to function better at work or to work with their kids or to participate in whatever civic activity you have in mind, we want to give you those skills.
So who are your clients and where do they come from? Or how do you get them, or do they find you? Or
that is a great question. They find us mainly by word of mouth. When people are happy with the services they get, they will let other people know. They'll tell people that our services are free, first of all. Services are free to the public. Our main focus has always been working with lower level readers. And by that I mean people who might read below a 5th grade level, who might have trouble keeping up in high school diploma programs that are a bit more fast paced. We're a smaller program. We are, I think, a very nurturing program. And we recognize that a lot of people come to our program and are so afraid and so ashamed.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that, if there was a stigma associated with not being able to read or read well.
Absolutely. Just the other day, I had a woman who called to ask about our program, and she said, "You are only the second person I've talked to about the fact that I don't have a high school diploma." She said, "My husband is the first, and you are the other." She says, "It's something I just don't talk about with anybody." And she's, I think, has let people believe that she's graduated. And that's what does drive a lot of people to our program. People want better jobs. I mean, you can't tell me that people in New Orleans don't want education.
Right.
Because our phones are ringing. We always have a wait list, and we simply do not have enough space for all the people who want to join us. So people do want an education. There is a stigma against it. One of my former students told me a story. This was a really good-looking young man who read at maybe a 3rd grade level, and he said his most humiliating moment was being at a block party in his neighborhood where a DJ called him out over the address system to say, "I know that you can't read." Unbelievable. It is so, it just goes so deep. people's pain about not being able to read. And I think where it comes from, Beth, is people feel they're not doing right for their kids. What motivates a lot of people to come to our program is they want to read to children. We had a grandmother who walked in and she just had a little picture book with her, and she could not read it all. And she said, all I want to do is read this to my granddaughter because she follows me around and says, Mama, read to me. And all we're doing is telling her, no, no, no.
And that's certainly not what you want to encourage, a positive association with books and reading.
No.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. When a child brings out a book, we want to say, yes, absolutely, sit down and let's get started. And I think that's what drives a lot of people to us. It's finding a better job so they can take care of their families, but also so that they can work with their kids.
So are there classes, or is it all one-on-one tutoring? And who does the teaching? How does it actually work?
Well, if you would want to join us as a student, the first thing that you do once you get past our wait list, which is about a month long, and I hate to say that, but that's just the reality of where we are.
Isn't that bad?
It's not bad. I do recognize for some people, you know, by the time they get the courage to call us, and they're ready to act now, but I always tell people just hold on, stay on the wait list, or we'll help refer you to another program that might have a slot. But what you do is you come in and we test you and see where you are with your math and reading. And some people are pleasantly surprised to see that they can do much more than they thought they could. You know, some people say, you know, I left school 20 years ago. I used to know fractions, but I don't anymore. And sometimes all it takes is a little bit of help, and they get those skills back. So we test you to see where you are. And then people who can read somewhat on their own can come into our classroom. We have an individual plan for each person on what they need to work toward. And they work individually on their own with our teachers who are state certified, tremendous experience. We have some teachers with 30 years of experience in the classroom. I have one with 40 years. These are people who know how to address the challenges that adult learners give. And you just keep working, you know, with the help of our tutors and our teachers so you can make the progress that you need. For a lot of our students, what do they want is the high school diploma. And so we are trying to move them in that direction, but not just to complete the diploma, but to think about what are you going to do after. So you get that diploma, you get to walk across the stage at our citywide graduation, which the City of New Orleans does have every May.
Which is nice.
Which is wonderful. But after you've walked across the stage in your cap and gown, what are you going to do next? So we try to partner with Delgado Community College, you know, the other, you know, institutions that can help bring people to training or to post-secondary ed.
So you said the teachers all are certified teachers. Are they volunteers?
Oh, no. This is a career for our teachers. We do have some room for volunteers, but we do have a core of certified teachers who are there with our students every day. And so some of them come to us. They worked in special education, loved it. You want to keep doing that work with some of our adults who are struggling with dyslexia or what have you. But we also have some teachers who are just, you know, they love working with adults. It is very different from working with kids in that adults vote with their feet, is what we always say. If they like you as a teacher, they will come. And also, it's just seeing the motivation that they have. You know, no one is forced to come to our program, so when they show up every day, it's very meaningful to me. We want to make it the best experience we can. Now, we do have several what we call service corps members who support our teachers as tutors. And the way that works is, you know, to give you a little background on how we got there with our service corps, a few years ago, I was speaking to my CEO at the Y, and I said we could really use some extra assistance in the classroom. And he said, have you ever considered using faith-based service corps? I said, I'm not familiar with that. What can you tell me about it? And so we have different service corps where you have young people of different, you know, faith groups who are living together, usually in one house, you know, maybe 7 or 8 all together, who are, you know, sharing their faith together, but working to eradicate poverty or working in some way to improve the community. And what I said was, you know, I'm interested in getting a variety of perspectives, whether you are a person of faith or of none. I feel like literacy in this city in particular is the one issue we can all get around.
Right.
So we do have 3 faith-based service corps groups that support our students, and they're doing a tremendous job of it. But again, what we're trying to illustrate by very specifically bringing in different groups of different perspectives, and again, staff of different perspectives, is that I cannot think of a single issue like adult literacy where if we address it as a city, the impact that would have on crime reduction, what that would do for the physical health of our city. I had a student who came in who had emphysema. Her doctor had given her an inhaler, and she told me, I don't know how to use this, because she didn't know what the word inhale meant. So when people cannot read, they don't have the vocabulary, they cannot take care of their health, they're struggling to take care of their kids, and so what we need to do is get everyone, regardless of what your perspective is, everyone has to get behind this cause, because if we don't, I don't know what the future is for this city if we do not get our adults educated so they can raise a more educated next generation.
Right. Now, that is part of the acronym of YMCA. It does have Christian in it.
Absolutely.
And you know, NOSHA is very much an organization of atheists, agnostics, free thinkers. And so while I'm sure all of our membership would be we're very science-minded, education-minded, very much behind literacy, we would probably not feel comfortable supporting any kind of program that actually proselytized to students in any way, or treated anybody any different for what their faith is, or having no faith, or being an open atheist.
Correct.
And so do you think, does any of that go on?
That does not go on, because the YMCA, first of all, we're a nonprofit agency. I know a lot of people think about the Y and think gym and swim. First of all, we are so much more than that. We are an agency that is charged with looking to our city and seeing what are the greatest unmet needs. And in New Orleans, the unmet need that we see is we need to teach adults how to read, particularly adults who are struggling at 3rd, 4th, 5th grade levels. Now, as an association, we were founded in 1852, when you were absolutely right. To be a member, you had to be young. There was an age limit. Male, neither you nor I would have been invited. Christian, absolutely. And when we say Christian, it's an interesting history. It was Protestant. Catholics might want to find somewhere else. So it was young, male, Christian, absolutely. But as time goes on, we have emphasized, and we keep trying to let the public know we are open to all, people of all faiths, people of all races, and people of all physical ability levels. We want to make sure that everyone feels welcome when they come to our wellness facilities, that you'll feel comfortable in the pool, you'll feel comfortable at the gym. So we are open to all. And again, our goal is to get people around the issue of adult illiteracy, to acknowledge what it has done and is doing to our city. And if we want New Orleans to become the great city that I know it can be, we have got to invest in education for adults.
Do you feel like it's also a welcoming environment for LGBTQ people? Because definitely, especially when it comes to young adults, many people in those sorts of marginalized groups had been kicked out of their families, ended up not finishing their education for reasons related to their orientation, their gender orientation or sexual orientation, and the difficulties that attended that. And so should they feel comfortable coming to you? Does the staff get some sort of diversity training that includes LGBTQ issues?
I mean, at the end of the day, what we want is when people come to our door and say, I need help, I need to get my high school diploma, we want to help them, regardless of what led them to the door. It's an interesting point you bring up, because being housed at the public library downtown, you can imagine we have a lot of people who walk in looking for assistance, just asking questions about social services in general.
You're the one by City Hall?
Correct. I'm right downtown by City Hall. So we're there. We have a large homeless population in that area, and a lot of people who are passing through who have questions about social services. And so we do have young people in particular who walk in, and what touches me is they'll come into my office and say, well, I'd like to get my high school diploma. But then when I start asking questions, number one is, how old are you? Because you have to be, to register with our program, you have to be 16 years old minimum with your parents signing you in. So when we ask how old they are and we find out that mom's not around and you're actually not even 16, we start asking more questions. And that's when we find out just what you said. Kids have been kicked out. Kids are looking for a place to go. And the way they feel they can access us is by asking about a high school diploma, when I know what they're really asking is, I'm hungry, can you help me? I don't have a place to sleep, can you help me?
Right.
So I always want people to think of the Y as a place they can contact with questions about social service.
So what do you do then? If someone, then what do you do if to help them meet those needs?
Well, what we've done is, one thing we say as a staff is you want to work with those who present themselves to you. And so again, when you're at the library downtown, you are going to have a certain number of homeless individuals who will come in asking, just about social services. Or we were also getting people who are coming in saying something like, I have a job at this grocery, but I need to fill out an online application right away. Can you help me? Now that could be a 2-hour endeavor.
Right.
We're trying to teach class, so what do we do? And that used to be, to be honest, Beth, I'd have moments of frustration where I'd think, we have classes to teach. Can someone else help you? Could a librarian help you? And let's be honest, our librarians are busy. They are busy professionals, and they're not always going to have the time for that. So
And I'm sure we don't fund our libraries all that fabulously here
that's
either.
a whole other story, of course, but huge shout out to New Orleans Public Library for hosting us. So what we did last February, it's been just over a year, we'd gotten a small grant from a funder who said, the magic words, we love what you do, here's some money, do with it what you will, just to make some changes to your program to improve things. So we set up a position at the main library for one of our staff members whose job is to talk to people who walk in and say, please help me with a job application. Please help me learn how to send an email. Please help me figure out where the homeless shelter is. I have this map, but I'm new to New Orleans and I don't know where it is. And that program has been so hugely...
Concierge desk.
It's funny you say that. That's what we call it, the literacy concierge. And it's a tremendous position that has grown since we started. We've now duplicated that program in New Orleans East because we want there to be a place where people feel very comfortable, where they can go and ask any question. And if they need help in particular with computer literacy, we can help them with that.
Do you have classes in that specifically?
Well, we can make appointments with you to work one-on-one, because I think some people, there are some computer classes at New Orleans Public Library. We do have some people who say, I have a very specific thing I need to learn. I need to learn how to send attachments with my email. I don't know how.
Yeah.
We're happy to help with that.
Yeah.
That's
and you're like, don't you know a 12-year-old that you could have
Right, exactly. But
doesn't your mom?
Absolutely. So, but we just want there to be, number one, a welcoming person when people need help. Again, like I said, we have people who walk in all the time who say, I have a job waiting if I could do this.
Right.
And we are happy not just to help them do it, but to teach them how to do it on their own. Then what comes out of that is, let's say you come in and you talk to me about filling out your job application to work at a grocery store. We do an intake form in everyone. That's when I can say, hey Beth, I see you don't have your high school diploma. If you ever want it, you come back here. And it's not a hard sell. It's just letting you know it's available.
Right.
Because that is, I think, the biggest challenge for me with New Orleans is somehow information does not get to people about programs. And there are so many great programs, whether it's job training, whether it's programs to help you get into community college, programs to help you if you're a first-time college student. How can we connect the public to that? And the way we're trying to do it is by having a staff member who is open, your concierge, like you said, who'll answer the questions that you have with no embarrassment. And the thing we put the highest value on is customer service, which is when you walk in the door, whether you are homeless or whether you are someone of greater means who just needs to learn a little bit about computers, we want you to feel like you're walking into the best hotel in the city, and that we're treating you with a lot of respect.
Yeah. Where does your funding come from? You mentioned getting a grant do you get government funding? Does it come from donations direct to your program? How are you funded?
It is a mix. We do have about 30% of our funding is state and federal funds, and so we have certain standards that we have to maintain in terms of how we test our students, how we keep our records, just to make sure everything is moving smoothly. We also have grants that we get from local foundations, from local corporations. We also have individual donors who, for whatever reason, our program resonates with them. I've had people come up to me and say, my mother could not read, and I was the child who had to take care of the bills when I was little, and so they don't want to see anybody else go through that.
Right.
So they donate to us in that way. We also have our Corporate Cup 5K, which will be on November 11th this year at City Park, and it's a 5K road race where we try to make it feel like a festival. We have great food, beer, of course. This is New Orleans.
Right.
Great live music, so people can enjoy themselves after the race. And it's just an opportunity for really individuals to come, but also we get a lot of companies who, we can sell them a tent package where you can come out with 50 of your nearest and dearest coworkers and have a great day out.
Yeah.
But we also have a kids area, with bounce houses and whatnot, to make it fun for everybody.
Yeah.
And just make it a great day in support of literacy, in support of adult literacy in particular. Because we don't.
And I think our audience would very much is, people who value education in their own lives. We know that it all started for us with books.
Exactly.
It all started for us with reading as a child. That's when the whole world started to open up. And so I'm always very much about supporting things that, give kids books, teach kids, because once you can read, everything is
open
to you.
I could not imagine my life without reading. When I try to, I cannot imagine, when I think about my 8-year-old self discovering, the Little House on the Prairie books, I was lost. When I went down a rabbit hole with those books for so long. There's so many books I could name that I got caught up in these,
I came across Harriet the Spy.
Exactly.
I came across that the other day, Harriet
Exactly.
the Spy. I was like, I forgot all about that. I love that one.
Tremendous
And the
books.
first place I was allowed to ride my bike outside of my neighborhood by myself was our little local library branch.
Absolutely.
And they would let me take out 6 books at once. Which that was
felt
max.
good.
And I would fit them in my little basket, and then I read them all and take 6 more.
Right. And I think it's important to say, I think that the library really is one of the last truly democratic spaces where it is open to all, and we really want to make an effort to let the public know you can walk into your public library, ask questions, you can be sent up to us if we need, if they think we could help you. We do another thing at the library downtown once a week just to make people feel welcome. We do have, for our homeless patrons who are there and waiting for the doors to open, so people can get out of the heat, we do a sort of like a little pastry and coffee service.
That's nice.
And the whole point of that is just to say, I see you, I'm glad you're here. We're available if you need anything.
Right.
You might not need us today, but maybe next week if you need any assistance, we will connect you with social services. Again, the YMCA can't do everything, and we depend on nonprofit partners to help us, whether it's for mental health services, helping people get clothing that they need, for job interviews, what have you. So when you access the Y, you're accessing a much bigger network of support.
Right.
But our job is to have all that information and present it to you, with what we think could help you best.
Right. So can people donate just to your program? Because I noticed if you go online, there's a donate to the Y. but if you didn't want to give to the overall
Right.
Y, but so much just wanted to give to your program, the literacy program,
Yes.
is that possible?
Absolutely.
And how does somebody do that?
If you go to donate, you can look for YES, Y-E-S, exclamation point, and look for our 2017 annual support campaign. People can donate online there.
And that's YMCA New Orleans?
YMCA New Orleans, all written out, .org. We also appreciate donations of things like copy paper, which we seem to go through very quickly. Pencils, our students, sometimes I wonder if they're eating the pencils because they go away so quickly.
I chew
but
my
I know,
pencils.
they disappear. But, you know, a great way to donate is simply going online to ymcaneworleans.org and looking for YES annual campaign and just donate directly. But then also, if you'd like to get involved in a bigger way, we have our Corporate Cup on November 11th. We would love to have people show up there because, again, it touches me greatly when people come to the race, because I know there are some people in town who will run for any cause. They love to run, so they will be there. But there is something about when I see the librarians of NOPL are out there in their public library shirts, when I see our nonprofit partners out there, when I see school teachers out there, because they believe in the cause, and it just feels very good to be out there together. So if anyone wants any information about the race, they can go to our website and take a look.
And you have a phone number that should probably be going up on the screen here at some point.
Yep.
That when people call, that connects them to, that's the phone number for the YES
Yes,
program.
absolutely. You would
Okay.
come to us directly. Again, our emphasis has always been on customer service, and so we take the time with people when they call, not just to say, we have a wait list, we'll put you on the wait list, good luck, but we want to talk to you. If I find out that you live in New Orleans but you're working at the airport, I'm going to talk to you about adult education programs close to the airport. And so let's have a conversation. I want people to know our job is to share information.
One last thing before, because we're coming near the end of our time. Do you need volunteers? Can people volunteer?
We can always use volunteers.
Doing what?
First of all, if people want to do short-term volunteering, we can always use help with the Corporate Cup race. I can always use help distributing flyers about our program all over the city. I have one gentleman who has made it his mission to give as many barbershops as he can find information about our program. We can also use people who have some teaching experience to work. You know, would love to have them work with us in our classroom. Again, we also have a location in New Orleans East with evening hours, which might work better for some people. But again, we're looking for people with some teaching experience who would like to work with an adult population.
Right, right. Okay. Well, I think we're getting close to the end of our time here. We're really glad that you came and talked to us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Any last little thing you want to say?
Just to thank you for having me. And again, I cannot think of a single issue that all of us in the city, regardless of background, can get behind.
Right.
Again, if I couldn't read, my life would be completely impoverished.
Right. It is just indeed the gateway to everything else that comes after. You know, I
Absolutely.
mean, my whole life, just pretty much all the worlds that have been opened up to me because I could read.
Exactly.
And, you know, I just can't imagine trying to navigate the world
Exactly.
even on a daily basis with you know, how do you read like street signs?
Oh, I had a student, I'll leave
like
you with
that.
this. We had a student who called me to say, during our evacuation for Hurricane Gustav, who had to have me, he spelled out the name of every street as he evacuated.
Oh, dear.
Hard.
All right. Well, thanks so much for talking with us.
My pleasure.
And thank you out there for watching, and hope you'll join us again soon.